Hey guys, welcome back to Power Solutions Forestry. My name's Bill. I'm on honey-do list. Today we've got company coming into town tomorrow. I've been cleaning. I've got to vacuum the downstairs. I also got a couple of customer projects in I'm trying to get out of here today. One of them was a steel 241C. I've never seen one before. And it appears that it has a bad carb. And the carb is causing some other issues. The dealership wanted over $400 to fix it. The whole saw is not worth $400. So I pulled the carb. I have a new one on the way from Hungary. Carb from Hungary. Original Walbro steel, exactly for that model, about 75 bucks. So when that shows up, we're going to put that back together and sharpen it, send it off to the customer. But also I got this kind of piece of junk in. And the customer asked me to get it running and to undo the drive so they could just push it. It's got self-propelled. Starts right up on choke, runs for about 2 seconds and shuts off. No matter where you put the throttle linkage, indicates to me that it's starving itself for fuel. It's probably been sitting around a long time. This particular business wouldn't have a real use for something like this. So I think what's happening is that the float needle's sticking, I think, in the float bowl. And it's probably stuck shut. And what it does is it uses up the fuel that's in the float bowl. And then once it uses that up, it's got nothing else to use. At least that's what it seems like. Now, granted, it's a little Honda. I've never taken one of these apart before. So, but it's pretty much just like anything else. So we're going to find out what's going on with it. And hopefully, like I said, it does fire up. And it sounds good, just doesn't run very long. Put my gloves on. These mechanics gloves right here, guys, these are awesome for sharpening chainsaws and working on stuff like this. Grippy. They're a little tight, and it's kind of a pain with the camera to take them on and off and on and off, but oh, they will work. Now let's just make sure that the linkage is working. So yeah, looks like the linkage is working. Choke chokes, unchokes, throttle moves. So it does appear that all the linkage is working. So our only thing left really is that float bowl. So we're going to take this carb out. I can figure out how to do it without taking this whole linkage apart here. Once I get these gloves on. These fit nice and tight. So it looks like the carb should come off the back. Yep, off the back of that. And then we've got a couple of, I think if we tilt this carb, these should come right out. That one. This one's got some sort of little spring on it too. I'm gonna have to figure that out here in a second. And obviously we're gonna have to hook up the fuel here. So there's a little spring here. You grab the pair of needle nose. This is my chainsaw box. It's pretty much got everything in it that you need to work on anything. Sorry I'm fumbling around a little bit here, but I'm sure that a real Honda tech would already have it apart, fixed, and back together by now. At least that's what I hear. Okay, there's the spring. And then if we tilt this carb, this one should unhook. Come on. Come on. You can do it. This fuel line's holding on to it a little bit. I'm just going to try and unhook the fuel line. Of course, it's got a... You got to love engineers. So it's got a clip on the fuel line, and the clip's backwards to our position here. So that's going to pop up, and then should just pull right out. Yep, okay. Now we should be able to get at that fuel line clip, because we're going to flip the whole carb over to get it. I do have fuel leaking out of the carb right now. Turn this fuel off. See if that works. Yep, did shut it off. That's a good sign. Okay. I'm going to pull out some carb cleaner out of my kit here. Hopefully I have some. So we know that the fuel flow is good from the tank to the carb. So it doesn't appear to be like it's any sort of little filament kind of fuel filter in there. Let's see here. You just love it when things just come in and they're just totally trashed and they wonder why they don't work. Just completely filthy. One thing I don't have out here is air. I would just blow this all out. All right. Let's see if we can pull this float bowl off and see what's going on inside. How? Probably 10 millimeter like everything else on the planet. I need a striker. A striker. So the needle's working. Let's just spray out some of these journals and we will put her back together and see if she will fire up. There's that hole there. It's almost like a... Huh. We'll tap, oh, there's some corrosion in there. There's some shit in there. That's the main jet. It's spraying all the way through. I think I'm optimistic. I don't know what. It's not really a journal. I'm not really sure what that is. It's almost kind of like where you'd have an impulse line on a carb, but it's not an impulse hole. It's an impulse hole in the gasket, but oh, maybe it is. Hold up. Well, it can't be a real impulse hole because I don't know if you guys can see this, but the journal that it goes into there is open on the bottom, so it can't be a real impulse hole. Let's just throw a little more Cosby sauce through the main jet. And this pin that holds the float is kind of stuck over to one side a little. I just want to tap it over. Oh, too much. Oh, here we go. And the needle is working. I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of travel on it, I will tell you that. But it is working. All right, so put the float bowl back on. Now, this thing sits in here like that. And just want to get the drain on the float. There was a bunch of water in here. There's a bunch of corrosion in the bottom. That could have been part of the problem too. Some scalies in there and stuff. So if this sits on here like this, the drain was sitting to the side like that. It's more like a day in the life, right? Day in the life. Little 10 millimeter knot gronker. All right, get that done. This gasket's still intact. I don't like, I'll see if I can get this in behind this part of the gasket here. It almost looks like it's an impulse journal. There's some crap in there. And it sprays completely through the journal like there's no issues. You wouldn't think that would cause any problems. Okay. So we were like this. There is a back plate for this thing, a heat shield. Should be able to do this with a quarter. And we will turn the fuel on. We'll get it down on the ground. I'll break my back and we'll fire this thing up and see if it works. The air filter was completely clogged with grass. Oh yeah, fuel looks nice and clean too, which means somebody panicked, thought, oh no, we put bad fuel in it. Hurry up, put good fuel in it before the boss sees it. Or the fuel went bad, and Bill always says our fuel's bad, so put good fuel in it. All right, take this thing off the bench, and we will give her a shot. Oh, killing myself. Oh. All right, let me take my gloves off so I can shut off the camera, and I'll move you over to the grass, because if I fire it up here, we're going to have a dust storm. All right, moment of truth. Let's see if this thing runs. So, choke. This thing says stop on it, so I assume you got to hold on to that. I can hear the choke clicking, so it's working. Let's pull this thing here. Okay, one thing we are going to do really quick is I only have a little bit left in my pack, but we're going to throw some seafoam in that engine, and we're going to run it for just a second, get some seafoam flowing, and clean out the rest of that carburetor. We're in business, and I just got to figure out how to unhook these wheels. Okay, if you guys are not aware of this, this is the good stuff here. If you're going to put additive in your fuel, chainsaws, whatever, if your chainsaw is going to sit for 6 months and you don't use Red Armor, because Red Armor is kind of going away and it's got additives in it, but if it's going to sit for a while, put this in it. If you fire a chainsaw up and that's been sitting a while, and you hit the trigger and it's kind of boggy and it doesn't go all the way up and it just kind of bogs when you hit the trigger, put some of this in the fuel and keep doing that. It'll clean up. But this is the good stuff. We're going to put some in here because we don't know how long this fuel's been in this tank. although it looks pretty good. And this is, with this particular customer, I hate to say this because he's probably going to watch it. This is almost all I ever do to fix his stuff, unless it's broken, like, you know, they dropped it out of a tree or ran it over or something like that. Just a little bit. I probably have like one chainsaw treatment left in here. I have another can of this in the house. Well, let's fire this thing up. Oh, it's got speeds and everything. So you got to hold this thing. We yank on it. Get some sea foam to run through it. Oh, it moves. It's almost a shame he wants to unhook that. It drives nice. Before I suck a lot of crap in, I'm going to go grab the air filter and put the air filter back on it. This might take another round of cleaning that carb now, because something might have come loose. Let's fire it up, see if it fires right back up. We don't want choke on. So this choke, I can hear it disengaging. Should have plenty of fuel now, so if anything, it's going to fire right up and then it's going to go back to bogging again. Definitely that. I'll bet you the other thing that's happening too is this lever here is deceiving. And if he makes somebody run this thing, let's say that's not really familiar with chokes and stuff, if you think that rabbit is all the way down, it's not. You're choking it out. I'll show you. So if right now I'm at full throttle. If I push this down more, it doesn't say stop or anything here. Choking it out. When you run it like that, it's really dirty. So you gotta run it here before it pulls that choke shut. All right, get this thing back up on the bench and see if we can figure out the drive system on this thing. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to blow this here tire off. We're going to see what's inside of. No, it's not 10 millimeter. And hopefully there's something inside this wheel that we can take out. Hold up. Hold up. All right, we got to set this down. Let's get something underneath it. All right, so it's got a little drive gear here, and hopefully that is some sort of snap ring that we can just pound off there and pull this little drive thing out, and we're all set. We'll do that on both sides, and we're gold. Can't even believe I can find my snap ring pliers. I never, ever use them. All right, let's see here. We need some real little dinky holes in these things. Is that going to go in there? Yeah, it'll go in there. So instead of trying to just hook this up the other way with the other set, which I know is Not going to want to go in there. There we go. Now let's see if we can get this thing off here. Oh, there you go. Does this thing do anything? I don't even think this thing does anything. We'll put it back on the way it came apart. Well, let's throw a little baby gronk on that. You can't over tighten this apparently. Oh, it's plenty tight. Cool. All right, well, that was all that drives it right there. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and we're going to call this one a hot minute. I'm going to say, oh, it took us 7 hours to fix it. Let's do an outro. So that was fun. Quick little, as Gwen would say, in Blondie Hacks, project. It'd be nice to get it out of my yard. Tell them to come get it. These pencils. Thanks for coming along for the ride. It's not our typical content. As you can see, we're supposed to be a saw shop / sawmill, not a lawnmower shop. But the more fuel, the more good fuel they run through that thing, the better it'll run. And hopefully it works out for them. I don't know what the heck they're going to use it for. And they have machines and brush hogs and all kinds of stuff. They can just throw a little mower attachment on one of their mini skids and do with that. I don't know why they're using that thing. There's got to be a reason for it, though. Because he wouldn't ask me to do it if there wasn't a reason for it. But I'll get that other tire blasted off, get that other gear out, call him up, let him know it's done. I'm going to have to give him a lawnmower school on that one, because I'll guarantee you, based on the way that throttle is, I will guarantee you that they run it on choke all the time. And it never runs good. Probably has never run good. And they have no clue why. It seemed, like I said, I think you guys could hear it. It cleaned up a lot. And the more that seafoam runs through it, probably the better the better it'll run. The more it'll clean up, the more it'll. Sometimes when that seafoam frees up some junk, it'll get clogged somewhere, and I think we saw that a little bit. I do think it was the float needle, though, because if I let it sit for, the telltale sign of the float needle is that when it sits for like 60 seconds, and then you pull it and it fires right back up, but it doesn't fire right back up right away because it's still trickling fuel in, because the float needle's stuck in the hole a little bit. So some fuel's coming in, just not enough to keep it running. And then once a bunch of fuel gets in the float bowl and you fire it up, it goes through the main jet, and away it goes. And then it uses up everything in the float bowl, and then it goes back to grapping on itself again. So it was definitely the needle. Hopefully it doesn't need to be replaced, that there's something, that needle's all junked up or something like that. It moved fine when I was moving the float, so I think it'll be fine. It's more likely that the seafoam pushed some crud through it. So thanks for coming along for the ride. It's kind of a stupid video, but maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Hopefully, if you learned anything from this video, it's, even if you've never touched one of those before, you've never worked on one, don't be afraid to try. Pay attention. You'll get it back together. Everything will be fine. The cleaner that you make everything inside, usually the better it's going to run, because those things, lawnmowers in particular and chainsaws both, they get full of shit. And what causes problems with them? All the shit that's inside. So you clean it out, 9 times out of 10 it works. I'll tell you one thing about chainsaw carburetors, and my friend Matty Olson will back me up on this. There are some times when you get an old chainsaw carburetor and you get a rebuild kit for it, and you can take that thing apart and you can clean the crap out of it. You can spray in all the journals and spray, you know, the carb cleaner can be spraying through, clean it out, replace everything, new diaphragm, new needle, get your needle lever right in the right spot, right, you know, then I think it's a misnomer sometimes when everybody says they have to be level with the top of the platen on the inside of the carburetor. They don't all have to be that way. That's not how they work. Most of them in the olden days did, but there are newer ones where the manufacturers figured a way around that, and they actually have a tool to set it, and level isn't good. But you can clean a carburetor out, run it through a sonic cleaner and everything, put it back together, and it just doesn't work. Matty Olson's run into that a million times. He sent me a whole bag of carburetors for 268 Husqvarnas one time. And he just said, you know, every time he rebuilds one, he does the carb too, and some birds fighting. And those were carbs that he just couldn't get to work. And why? Somewhere inside that carburetor, there's some sort of journal inside that's got straight up varnish in it, and there's nothing you can do to get it out. Is the only explanation. It's not like you can cut the carb up and find that journal that's clogged, but it's really, sometimes it can be a crapshoot. Sometimes you just throw a China carb at them and away they go. So that's going to be it for me. I got to go inside, vacuum the house. I got to get that taken care of, get all my tools put away. Then I got to go inside and vacuum the downstairs and get ready for Shelly to show up tomorrow. And whether we'll do a video tomorrow or not, I don't know. But hopefully, I wish I could have danced around and made this one more entertaining. But anyway, for now, it's Pirate Solutions out.